Welcome. Now, next, later for December 23rd. Looks like we have a celebratory alum here wearing his colors, repping the win over the weekend. Did you watch the game, Robbie? How invested are you in this college football season?
I'm such a bandwagon fan. I'm a California Golden Bears football fan because my parents met at UC Berkeley. And actually, last time I was on the show, I was wearing a Cal football shirt. Maybe we'll keep that trend going in the future. But I went to Texas right after Colt McCoy left, and they were terrible, and the fans were terrible. And so I've never been able to really root for Texas football. But now that Texas is back, I'll jump on the bandwagon because yes,
Yeah, get the
my alma mater.
get the shirt back out, dust it off, type of thing.
Yep, yep.
Excellent.
You're a where you went to school in Virginia, right?
Undergrad in Virginia, law school at UConn. I grew up in central Pennsylvania. So my D3 baseball school that I went to did not have football at all, not even D3 football. So I just kind of stuck with Penn State for a while because that's what I grew up with in central Pennsylvania. But UConn basketball is my primary devotion to my alum. If you ask about like where I went and what I root for, it's UConn Law School, UConn basketball,
There you
basically.
go. Very
Yeah.
nice.
So,
Don't
and
ask
we
me.
have the holidays.
I
Are we
went to
gonna
What's
we
that?
gonna ask
I went
Sasha
to San
about her
Diego
alma
State,
mater?
so I got
Or
nothing.
You got
Joe,
nothing. I thought you have a bowl team in
From
your
a
backyard.
football standpoint,
Are you
it's
a Sun
like,
Devils fan? Just having Tempe be close
no,
by? No?
no. I went to
yeah,
University of Arizona first. So
Ah,
Wildcats for life, even though I was only there for a short time. And then San Diego State, yeah, like the last thing that came out of football was Marshall Faulk. So it's been a hot minute.
wait a minute, but that's okay. Right on. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
It's not only bowl season, it's also the holidays. And
It
this
is.
week I felt like we should do another holiday edition. So I hope you're up for that. So good little sports talk at the top of the show. Holiday edition. Hopefully everybody who's watching appreciates that. Well, I'll do my thing monitoring the chat as usual. But I saw the Muppet Christmas Carol over the weekend. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra played the soundtrack. So we watched the orchestra play alongside the movie. So you sort of watch the movie, but you get the live soundtrack. And um, and so it occurred to me like how meaningful that Christmas Carol has been, Dickens, for all time, because there's so many movies or stories like off of that story. The Christmas Eve visitation by your guardian angel or your three ghosts, whatever it has you. So I always watch It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas Eve. That's what I wrap gifts to because I'm a procrastinator, and so it's 11 o'clock on New Christmas Eve. I'm wrapping gifts to It's a Wonderful Life, but it's the same idea, right? Christmas Eve visitation. So we're gonna do three segments today. Probably not Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost Christmas Present, and Yet to Come. But we'll do something around three different segments throughout the mortgage year. Well, we're going to start with the movie. I just did mine. It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey and the Bailey Savings and Loan. And for those in the mortgage industry, you probably know quite a bit related to home ownership and mortgage lending. When I was in high school, my high school economics teacher showed us that movie in econ to talk through what a savings and loan was. Like that was his way of, I think, not teaching that day, but it worked. And it stuck with me. I've seen it every Christmas Eve uh, since that day. So curious. We'll start with Sasha, and then go to Robbie. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
It's so hard to choose. I'm like, I want to like choose three. But if I have to choose one, Christmas Vacation. I
Oh
love
yeah, that's a
Vacation.
good one.
It's just a classic, makes you laugh, makes you smile. So I'm going with that one.
All right,
you know,
Robbie.
we don't have a ton of Christmas traditions in the Chrisman family. We meet on New Year's Eve. It's not like we watch a movie every year. I would have said The Grinch
I
growing
love
up,
the
Okay.
Grinch.
which is very, very good. I would like to watch that. But then I feel like Elf
Yes,
usurped it. Elf is a fantastic
those are
movie.
my other two, Robbie.
Right
We'll
on.
hang out some Christmas, marathon it together.
Now you need to start a new tradition.
So, yeah, there you go.
I like the mix of like older movie, classic 80s 90s movie, and then the new favorite. So one of the questions I had for this category was let's not go too far back in time. Scrooge went all the way back to being a young man. We're just going to go back this year. Did you have a story from this year that either you think was overlooked or you kind of want to bring back and say, hey, remember when we had that problem in February or March? So I was trying to think through this myself, knowing I was going to ask the question. But Robbie, we'll start with you. Did you have something from this year that you're thinking about now, going back year in review style?
For the audience out there, Jeremy sent us a novel of a text last night saying Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future. I was busy scribbling pages of notes in
I know you
preparation
were.
for him to just change things up last minute without
I didn't change things up. That's what we're doing. We're
That's
doing
a
the
little
year
bit
in
of a
review.
modified question.
modified question.
Modified. All right.
Anyway, so what I would say would be, yeah, it's not good to forget some of these things out there that are still issues, even if they're not being talked about as much. And my head goes to two places, and one of them is repurchases. We've seen those die down, but I think more importantly, the insurance problems we're having out there. It's still a problem, and if talk has died down about insurers leaving states. I was on a different show. I was on a different show last week, and I mentioned my mortgage payment went up by $1,500 next year on a house in California that I own. A month, 1,500. Sorry, $1,500 a month.
A month. Yeah,
a month, which is why. So, insurance, it's a thing that's still a massive issue, but I feel like it's not getting the play that it was earlier in the year or at the tail end of last year. So it's something to certainly, if you're talking to borrowers, warn them about, or certainly something that's still hanging over our heads.
Yeah, when I was at Rocket, I used to talk with John Lawless at Fannie Mae about the true cost of home ownership. And there's been a lot of research on all kinds of different areas of this industry. And I would, point to a bunch of different, like Urban Institute, CoreLogic. You can see all these white papers, you can see all this research. But the true cost of home ownership has eluded us for a really long time because it's hard to know, how does somebody use their house? What does operations and maintenance look like? What are these other variables? But those were always like really personalized variables that I think people assumed were relatively small. This problem is so big in my view this year, and has grown so dramatically this year, that there's really no such thing as a 30-year fixed loan anymore, because you can't rely on like, oh, it just moves with the cost of inflation, or it just moves a little bit based on these kind of like minor adjustments over 30 years. Now we're seeing like year over year, it's nowhere near the loan you agreed to, thanks to taxes and insurance.
And I would say one other thing. I was talking to somebody in the disaster category, I guess if you will, and they said, look, 100-year event over the course of a 30-year mortgage, that's basically a 1 in 3 chance of this once in 100-year event happening. So it's the ways we think about some of this stuff.
Yeah, it puts it in context.
Yeah, for sure.
Sasha, what do you think?
Right into the same area, but from a more general affordability standpoint, right? It feels like that's still a significant issue, and I can't tell if the programs that have been built to help support it are just too early stage to know, like, are they really going to be effective in helping? Can they really support, chasing down a world where we have really high rates and really bad inflation still? Or is there going to be, and it's just a matter of time, and eventually it'll catch on and we'll see that shift, or if there's more to it than that. But that's been a hard one for me to swallow, of just like accepting the fact that there's been so much work done in the industry to try and combat the affordability, but yet it doesn't seem to be enough. And it's just hard, right?
Yeah, in fact, I think you're asking also a really good question for like, are we just going to see everyone give up? And not maybe fully, but not only from the consumer side, but also from the industry side. Be like, look, if the investors aren't making a change, then there's not much we can do. And if they're going to be focused on exiting conservatorship, then that's it. We tried. I wonder. That's a little bit of a dark view probably, but I definitely look forward to digging into that in 2025 and seeing where we end up with that. Speaking of 2025, I kind of was reminded on Friday, Robbie, you mentioned last week talking to some people and being reminded of some of these themes. I was reminded on Friday of like, remember when everybody said survive to 25?
I wrote this down.
Yeah, to me,
And
that was
thrive
like,
in 25. Like
Thrive in
survive
25.
24, thrive 25.
Wondered if somebody was like coming up or trying to come up with some other rhyme now about 25 or 26 because of what's
Wow.
changed. Like, because it seems like in the last couple of weeks, if not a month or so, the outlook is pretty flat from a market perspective and barring any kind of major changes. So I do wonder with GSE reform being top of mind and the market being flat, if now we're just pretending like that didn't happen or we're now going to come up with something new.
I,
So it'll
I
be
don't know how much the
interesting.
audience is paying attention. Did you catch the Grinch hand on Sasha's mug? Sasha, is this a special occasion cup or look at this. Look at
Yes,
this.
it's the schedule.
Oh, you guys both have
There we
Christmas
go.
cups.
Yeah.
Wallow in self-pity. Jazzercise. I love that.
Yeah. Dinner with
Yeah.
me. I can't cancel that again.
Green and red.
Hey, Robbie, there's snow place like home. There's
Oh,
snow place like
wow.
home.
You just wait
Come
until
on.
the Chrisman commentary line of merch comes out, which I don't
Joke
think
going
Dad
on
will
right there.
authorize in his lifetime. But the mug that says don't talk to me until I've had my daily mortgage
Yeah,
news coming.
there you go. I do,
You heard it here
it's funny,
first.
Jared, when you asked the last night, the 2025 question, I literally wrote down that phrase that everyone said at the beginning of the year of like survived 2024 to thrive in 2025. And I was like, if I were to think now where we are and what does 2025 look like, it's more like stabilized in 2025.
Stabilize
I
in
mean, it
2025.
sounds so terrible, but I do think it's true, right? I think we're going to see some, there's been such a significant shift. This market has been so unreal. Like I've had moments where I literally am like, somebody pinch me and wake me up because there's been so much volatility in so many different ways. And it's been hard sometimes to think how lenders have made it through. And we know many have not. And so I look at 2025 and think, okay, I really am hopeful for a lift that's enough that you can at least stabilize, get your house in order, and then really start to build upon that to thrive in 2025 and beyond. But I do think there's that middle ground of like, we got to stabilize now, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
despite the crazy mortgage rates, we've still had a fairly stable market in other ways, which is incredible, right? Obviously, we've learned from lessons of the past because we've seen things in our economy impact us so desperately that, housing goes down the tank. And we didn't, I mean, it was a really rough year, but we didn't go that far down. And we were able to somehow stabilize in the market, even with a lot against us. And so I think that's a really good sign of like, there's strength there, there's some resiliency there, there's some muscles that we've built up. And I think we just have to double down on those next year and prepare for maybe thriving in 26.
And I think
Yeah,
that stabilization extends to borrowers too. You said crazy mortgage rates. People are like, hey, they're not going down soon here. They've actually risen. Might as well get off the sidelines and come in, which will help companies in 2025. And that's good.
100%. And there's
I
demand
think that's
from
right.
millennials, Gen Zers, right? Like they're willing to just say, you know what, fine, I'll take the high rate. I can refi later. I want a house. I want to get in. Now, obviously still have inventory issues, but that being said, I do think that demand is helping, to your point, Robbie.
Yeah, right on. So let's move to the present. So to stick with past, present, and yet to come, I thought the present would be a good segment for this week, end of year news, end of year, for what you're hearing from either the industry or trends or stories. But we'll go with songs for this segment. We did movies. I want to do Christmas song, and I'll kick it off. Then Robbie, and we'll go to Sasha. So my go-to Christmas carol, Christmas song is The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole. I love that song. It's my absolute favorite. And so that would be my vote. Robbie?
Well, I'm here in New York City, which is great during the Christmas time. Uh, I don't have a particular song I seem to get a new one stuck in my head every day. I will bust out and just as I'm going down the street, I'll sing, All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey, which is a diss track actually, because she's like, I don't want much for Christmas, I just want you. So apparently you're not much. Uh,
You're not much.
Yeah, you're not much. Exactly. I
Bummer.
love look, Jingle Bells is my all-time classic favorite. Let's put that out there. I love Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer though. It's great.
Oh,
It's a great song.
fake.
And it's tomorrow. Tomorrow Grandma gets run over. So watch out, Grandma.
Oh man, I would have said the Christmas song. That is my favorite song of all time. So I guess I have to choose another one. I like Silent Night.
That's a good one. Wait, I thought we were going to share your link too, though, right? Can I
We
do that?
can, yeah.
I want to. So I'm putting it in the chat for everyone listening. I'm sharing a Christmas album that is Sasha's Christmas album with her
Yeah,
mom. So
my
if you
mom.
want to hear, is Silent Night on there? Let me check.
It
I
is.
just had
Silent
it
Night's
up.
on
So
there. The Christmas song is on there. There's actually, for anyone in the music world or a passion for music on the side like me, my mom's a professional pianist. She pursued it as a career. I did not. But that being said, it is very hard to go into a recording studio, especially when that's not what you do for a living, and get some of these solid tracks down. And ironically, we were able to get two live. Like there's no cuts, there's no edits, there's no overlay. Like it literally, so Santa Baby and the Christmas song are the two that just, while she played, I sang, we recorded at the same time, and it just worked. And I think it, it was really lovely. And I told you last night that there was a story around it. She and I have been doing this for years, and we've been saying for years we were going to record an album, and we just never did. And last summer, I was just adamant about getting it done. And she's like, what is up your butt? Like, why are you so determined? And then, we did it, and it went live last Christmas. And then this year we lost my dad. And one of his favorite things was to listen to my mom play and me sing. And so now looking back, it's so clear to me that the reason I was driven to push it for last year was so he could hear it. So
that's right.
Santa
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Baby is a phenomenal song. Jeremy, I have to ask, since you have time in Pennsylvania, Dominic the Donkey. You know the song?
I know the song.
I had never heard about it until I dated a girl from Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvanians think like everybody knows. No, it's like a niche Pennsylvania thing. I'd actually like to hear from the audience if
you know what it is.
heard of Dominic the
I
Donkey.
didn't. Okay, so I know the song. I never thought of it as a Pennsylvania thing, but I guess if other people don't know about it, I definitely have heard it more times than I would like. It's not a great song, but okay.
Sasha, you've never heard it, Sasha?
No, now I'm gonna have to go find
Dominic
it.
the Donkey? No? Oh my gosh, I'm like learning in real time that this is a thing.
Yeah, Bob, do you want to come on and sing it for us since you know it? Or
That would be
Melissa?
amazing. Invite you on stage.
It's like
Dominic.
It's like an Italian thing, and they don't, the hills are too steep in Italy, so Dominic the Donkey delivers gifts rather than Santa with his reindeer. I think that's the gist of it.
Well, that sounds like a sweet sentiment.
I glad to know. I try to not hear the song anymore if I can help it, but now that I didn't realize it was a niche thing. So good to
Coming
know.
back.
But the Sasha Stair Christmas album is going to be what's on at my house anyway this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing next as well.
Like
Right on. How about from headlines before we move to predictions? Anything, Robbie, that you had written down for your headline or just like the right now story that you're hearing the most about?
I'm going to switch up the question, the present.
Yeah.
I was thinking the word present.
The
present to the industry. And I think a lot of the technological advances we've seen here are going to really help with both people's productivity and the consumer experience. And those are kind of modern things that are happening right now. I think we are reaching a point where my present will be that we can talk about AI less in 2025, hopefully. Seemed like every interview I did this year, AI was mentioned. It's a sick, but it's not going away.
Good luck. Yeah, I was gonna say good luck.
Yeah, but I think we've moved. It was such a buzzword that people are like, I've needed to adapt. I've needed to incorporate it, and so it's becoming a reality in a much faster and more accepted way than, remote online notarization or the digital end-to-end process. Things that were talked about and then took years and years. It's this AI revolution is happening so fast.
Yep. Sasha, what do you think? Because that was going to be mine as well.
So what I just posted in there, that's weird. I was trying to post the more the merrier.
Ignore my LinkedIn post. It was like copied and pasted. I was trying to tell Melissa to sing. Hold on, I can do this. I can multitask here. Okay, so the thing for me, why is that not working? Basically, Melissa, I was just trying to say the more that sing, the merrier. So just ignore me. But the thing for me that like threw me for a loop, and I don't know if others had the same response or if I just live in my own unique bubble, is trigger leads. I literally was just like, I felt like I was having whiplash. I was like, okay, it's in the Defense Act. It's probably going to get pulled. That sucks. Not great. And then like overnight, it like got pulled out, stood alone, and like and I was like, did I like fall asleep for a week, or was this a surprise to everyone? And most people I talked to, I think they were a little bit surprised by it. I'm sure some people that are more close to it knew. But that's the one that I would say if you're talking about like a headlines,
Yeah.
it like just caught me so off guard and threw me for a loop, the way that it kind of came about, particularly knowing that, you know, you only have so much time to try and get that one in. So
Get those things through. Yeah. I
that was
think
crazy to me.
we sort of, it seems like overestimated that it was a done deal and underestimated some of the providers of those being a little bit more influential probably than we thought.
Yeah.
I was also going with AI because I've just seen so many voice or even video AI agents, AI creations this last couple of weeks that it seems like voice especially is going to be the only thing we hear about and talk about from a sales perspective next year, Robbie. So I'm sorry to be that uh, the predictor of that, but I'll go a different direction as we think about what else. I mentioned GSE reform earlier. I think people are a little too comfortable that Fannie and Freddie are still going to be able to do things while they're exiting conservatorship. And I just haven't actually seen evidence of that other than we hope for it. The more I look at GSE reform and the more I think about what seems like the breadcrumbs are for Fannie and Freddie the next couple of years, my view, and again, I don't mean to be a Grinch, but my view is like no new spending, no new programs, no new focus on anything that doesn't include reserving capital and IPOing Fannie and Freddie. So to me, it seems like we are all way too comfortable. Oh, this program will probably still go. This thing will probably still go. We'll still be able to work with them on XYZ. And I guess what I'm being that we're the Now Next Later show for the Chrisman commentary, like to me, it's you should be prepared for nothing to happen, nothing new. Even if you feel comfortable that your program that you're working with, I just think January 21st, it is going to be shut everything down that isn't about reserving capital and about IPOing Fannie and Freddie.
I'll be curious to see how far that extends. I feel like these types of situations are always so unknown and like easily could get blindsided, but also likely most of it will be what you said, status quo. But like clearly in my world, because I'm more impacted by this, I think about bi-merge, tri-merge, adoption of Vantage for 10T FICO, right? And it's like, okay, well, is that going to change? Is it now going to be an or instead of an and? Is it going to actually happen in Q4 next year? Do people really still have to prepare for it? And I feel like it's such a hard thing and that's just one example of so many things lenders have to think about of what do I prepare for not knowing? Is there a chance, new administration, that something's going to pivot? And is it going to pivot in a timely fashion that I can respond to it? Or is it going to be like, I either chose to not get ready and I got lucky because it pushed, or I chose to get ready and it pushed and now I'm pissed. Right.
Right.
And it's just,
yes.
I mean, like you have to be ready for the pivot. And so I agree to some extent with you that like it could be a whole lot of nothing, but there's always something. And whether it's more known or whether it's hidden and catches us off guard, it feels like there's just always something.
Yeah, maybe pivot's a good theme for 2025.
Get the couch ready and the
Get ready. Yeah. I was just watching the first episode of the Friends Experience.
Yeah.
I walked in the room. My family was watching yesterday. I was like, oh, okay. And of course that scene was in there. All right. So let's go to our last segment. Classic Now Next Later fashion. We have 5 minutes left for the future. It's typically how we do it here. But the question for this segment as we do predictions for 2025, the yet to come. The thing I wanted to ask though was about holiday traditions. You know, I mentioned earlier, I always watch It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas Eve. So that's become kind of my own personal tradition. But do you have any that you subscribe to that your family does? What's your holiday tradition, Robbie?
Well, my dad is on here, so explain.
Does that feel like pressure? Pressure's on?
No, he sent me a text this morning, like, why aren't you in California? Our holiday tradition was and I'm in New York City here. Our holiday tradition was we'd all get together on Christmas Eve. I don't have any first cousins. My mom's one of 4 children. None of her siblings had kids. My dad's an only child, so no first cousins. But we get together with our second, third cousins, and it's been, sorry to be so sentimental here. It's splintered over the years. People have married into other families, or people are dating and they're on moving around. My sister's engaged with a baby. That she has her whole new side of the family that's not us, that I have no relation to, and so we've splintered. But our tradition was getting together on Christmas Eve, and hopefully, all the kids that grew up doing it together, we can find a way to morph back together eventually.
Yeah, right on. Sasha?
I have a similar but different story, Robbie. Like my personal family, had some separation this year. And so I don't have plans for the holidays the way I normally would, which is complicated, closing on a house at the end of the year, moving at the end of the year, and then, having some other things happen. But same thing, like Christmas Eve was always the time and we would do stockings. And so I'm a little bit sad that I won't be able to do that with my family this year, but I'm going to do it with my fur babies. So that'll count. And then my mom and I make a Serbian dish every year and drink champagne. So I'll go with that too, just to make it a little bit more sparkly and bubbly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that sounds like a lovely tradition, and like food plays such a big part. It seems like, right? Because I was thinking the same thing as like my wife was talking about lasagna that she's always made on Christmas Eve the other night. How do I get all the things I need by Tuesday and that kind of thing? So yeah, I think it does play a big part in how we like break bread and celebrate for sure. It's always around the table.
What's a traditional Serbian Christmas dish, Sasha?
It's not really a Christmas dish. It's just a dish that we like to make, and it's called pita, but it's literally phyllo dough with like a cottage cheese, cream cheese filling inside of it. There's a couple other things in it, but yeah, it's almost like the Serbian version of Greek totopara, which is like spanakopita, just no spinach.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's just every holiday we make it. Doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, like we just always make it together, and it's
Family
delicious.
tradition.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course bubbles have to go with it because we like bubbles.
Right on. Why not? So I'll lead us off just with, one of the things I think that flared up and then died down in 2024 that we'll see the implications of in 2025 is the real estate community coming to terms with whatever the next phase of the platform looks like. And when I say the platform, I think we're going to start to see a lot of the fallout from both consolidation and changes to their regulatory and compensation structure that maybe the mortgage industry isn't ready for. We've always thought, oh, we're a separate industry. We have our meetings. They're our referral partner. They have their meetings. Title industry, they're also a referral partner. They have their meetings. And I think 2025 is going to be the year where we actually see real estate, mortgage, and title suddenly all having to look at each other, or even new players from real estate coming downstream into mortgage and title because of, for lack of a better way to put it, necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention. And I think we'll see necessity driving real estate changes that have an impact on us, and we don't know what they are yet. Sort of unintended consequences is what I would say. Robbie, Sasha, who's next?
Ladies first, please.
I don't know. That's a hard one. I feel like everything I've said around stabilization and being able to pivot is where my head's at. I still obviously am hopeful for more digitization in the market. I think there's just so much technology that's still underutilized, and I know your example is like so much more profound than anything I was thinking of. I will say the shared equity model is an interesting one, and I think it was something that started to show up in the market this year, but I'm curious to see if it will take a hold in 2025.
This is going to be everybody's reminder out there. Looking at the camera and pointing you. No crystal balls in the mortgage industry, especially when it comes to rates. Don't let anybody tell you they know what's going to happen out there. You guys probably throwing shade at one company in particular out there that likes to predict rates every day. So I'm not going to give a prediction necessarily. My prediction cynically would be enjoy this last Christmas special where it's the three of us as people, because we're going to be AI bots next year. It's all going to be generated. We'll plug into our prompt. Hey, make a second Christmas special based on Jeremy, Sasha, and Robbie, all the videos that are out there. And it'll look like it. I mean, the AI stuff in terms of video is getting so much better that yeah, maybe we can be lazy in the future. We'll have an automated Christmas special. Three of us will watch it from a couch somewhere. But what would I think for 2025? My mind goes to, with all this talk of the privatization of the GSEs, Sasha's right. We don't know what's exactly going to happen. Something's going to happen one way or another. Maybe they'll continue to be gutted like they were under Trump 1.0. I think we're going to see the rise of other players that are jockeying to take some of that market share away from Fannie and Freddie, either with whatever they are at the end of the Trump administration, still a government entity, or whether they get privatized. I think we're going to start to see some rise of other entities there.
I'm curious, and I know you probably want to wrap us up, Jared, but like Robbie, my brain goes to working at CSS the first time that we had Trump in office, and that private label was just like, that market was not interested in coming back. We went out, we talked to them, we said, hey, if we take this utility we've built for Fannie and Freddie and we extend it to you, would you come back and play in the space? And like, it was pretty grim.
Crickets.
So I'm like curious what shifted or what might shift that would make them say, okay, let me take another look.
I'm a believer in the invisible hand of economics, and at some point the price will be right. You know, it'll be worth some companies.
Rates are high enough now. In other words,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's a good point. Right. It was very different in that regard. So, all right, I'll go with that.
Well, I appreciate it.
Private label market back.
This was a great holiday edition. Thank you, Robbie, for joining us. And Sasha, thank you as always. It's so good to be co-hosting Now Next Later with you. Seems as though my screen is frozen, but if you can still hear me, happy holidays, however you celebrate this week. Thank you for joining us. As usual, we'll post this to YouTube, and I know we'll all be back with another episode soon. So thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Sasha. Talk soon.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.
Merry Christmas.